Hi everybody, this is Cherub, and I wanted to show you guys a couple of, actually I want to show you all of the abilities of the, now that I've actually hit level 13 for the Barbarian. I want to show you a couple of the abilities. So the ability I'm using now is called Frenzy. I believe it's called Frenzy. Yeah. And basically it stacks these Frenzy points, and each successive swing just builds on the speed of your attack. So basically what happens is that you just go into a frenzy like all at once. It lasts for 5 seconds. If you lose it within the 5 seconds, so you just lose it until you start hitting people again. So it's actually a really good good ability for two-handed, and really a kind of a build, basically a build great for a specific type of build, basically a fast build. Obviously, this was sort of a feature in Diablo 2 for the Barbarian. Also had a Frenzy build as well. And if you're familiar with the Paladin from Diablo 2, it's more like Zeal was for that class. So this is basically one of those abilities that that showcases a lot of the, you can probably build a whole lot of builds around that one ability, and then the rest of it would just be other things. So, really good ability. The next ability I want to show you is Hammer of the Ancients, and basically what it is once you have enough rage generated, you can swing this giant axe, or this giant hammer, rather, and it comes out in the middle of nowhere, but still a pretty cool ability. It's very basic. All it does is it does 180% weapon damage, and it does do some splash damage as well. So it's pretty good. I like it. Let's see. I also have Ground Stomp, which is just, that's all it does, and it basically is does 30% weapon damage to all enemies, and then let's see. Does it stun them? It stuns them for 3 seconds. That's what I thought. It's really good for the people who want to generate fury really quickly. Basically, the ability is really great if you have a bunch of people around you, or if you just want to generate fury. It's a really good ability, especially when you're using the next ability I want to talk about, which is Leap Attack, which is that right there. Which, in my opinion, I think every Barb really should be using Leap Attack. I mean, I cannot see a build where you actually need that slot instead of I'm gonna get this guy real quick. Ah, missed him. This guy's actually pretty hard to get. Hello? Would love some help here. I guess not. Anyway, so what I was saying was, I can't imagine having a Barb without Leap Attack because it is so useful. I mean, even during boss fights, I know some people were saying you should remove it for more utility, more other items or other skills, but I see it as even a positive ability even then. I really like the ability. Just for mobility purposes, and it does good damage anyway, and it builds 20 rage. And in case you were wondering, so it's 20 rage for your Hammer of the Ancients, or for your rage fury spender. So I always keep saying more rage because of it's from World of Warcraft, but I actually don't play World of Warcraft that much, but it's kind of a habit because that's basically what it is. But what I wanted to say was, yeah, so if you look at the skills, all of the skills basically are 20 fury apiece. In fact, they all are, except for this one, which is Seismic Slam, which I don't have yet. It requires level 19. So, to actually build that much fury up, what you'll need is, let's see. So, if you want to do Hammer of the Ancients, you need to actually do either Leap Attack or Ground Stomp, because you can see there it creates 20 fury, Frenzy only creates 1 fury per attack, but you do it a lot, so I guess it kind of balances out. Even though I wouldn't be relying on Frenzy to actually be creating fury. That's actually not the purpose of it. It's just a good ability overall, just to beat the shit out of a single unit. And also, I found that this combo of leap attack and ground stomp is actually great. It generates a shit ton of fury, and it leaps to where you want to go and then stuns them. So that's a pretty good build, I think. You do that stomp like that, it just does a really good job at what you want to execute, and it's really good. So next I'm going to talk about some other skills, but first I need to go back into town and change out my items for the different skills to showcase them. Alright, so now I've equipped a giant axe because it actually does really well for the build I'm going to do now. And it's cleave. Cleave, everybody knows cleave. It basically does a big wave of, it hits everything in its path. It doesn't hit just a number of people, like 3 people. It hits everything sitting in that wave right there. And it also generates 2 fury per attack. The revenge is basically a proc. So when it procs, you get to use it. It depends on if you get hit. Every time you get hit, it has a 10% chance of proccing. And then you can do extra damage around you. The Battle Rage I just did is another ability that once you get enough fury, you can enter a rage which increases damage by 30% and critical chance by 4% for a few seconds. And that was actually a rather quick kill on that part. Actually, it's not that quick, because it's actually quite easy once you get a few people in the game. So I'm going to go ahead and go to a different area so I can show you a little bit more of these abilities. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you the Rend ability. It's actually really amazing. The way I'm going to do it is, I'm going to shoot my leap attack, which is 20 fury, and then I'm going to spin that 20 fury by performing it. And then what it does is, in a 9-yard radius, which is about this big, I want to say, it will do basically 180% damage over 3 seconds. See what it says? The wording is kind of weird here. It says deals 60% weapon damage every second for 3 seconds, but that's the same as saying it does 180% damage for 3 seconds. So it's basically the same thing. I'm going to make sure that I can actually show. Here we go. So I'm going to jump into these guys and do this, which it'll just. That's a very good bad example. I'm going to see if I can't find a mob and show you really how that works. Really quite simple in terms of what it does, but it's very effective if you can get it off right. Because it's it's very AoE. In fact, what's interesting about the Barb that I've figured out so far is that he's very AoE conscious. Now, Rend is one of those abilities where you want really a strong axe, because once you execute it, it takes the damage that you have, the attack power that you have on your See, I'm just going to leave those guys alone while they just die, basically. So it's a really, really fun ability. I'm going to tell you right now, the Barb is way overpowered. And that's not any fault of Blizzard. The game is not anywhere near balanced right now. So if I keep saying that I really think this is a good ability, it's because it is. I mean, like, compared to the other classes, he just tears up everything. So I'm just going to keep spending this ability, and he's tearing it up. Alright, so the next ability I want to show you guys, without destroying all these guys, is Axe Throw. What's it called? Weapon Throw. So, it just stuns the enemy, I guess. That's pretty much all it does. It's really one of the more useless abilities, I think. Because, A, the Barb is going to be up in your face. And, it does do a stun, but it does do a lot of damage. And actually, it doesn't stun. Sorry about that. It actually only slows by 50% for 4 seconds. So it's actually one of the least commonly used, I think, abilities. It does some really straight up damage. So I guess if you're going to go for a boss, it would be a good ability to have. But really, that it's just not all that useful, I've found, compared to all the other abilities. But the Rend ability is really great. Alright, so that's pretty much all the abilities I wanted to show you on the Barb, but before I go, I just wanted to go ahead and do a recap on what abilities are really great. Bash isn't too useful. Cleave is pretty useful, especially in the earlier game. And Cleave is really good for the two-handed weapons, just as a general purpose. Fury Generator and just regular attack. You want to replace it with just a good old melee attack. Leap attack is super useful. I already mentioned enough about that. Ground Stomp is great for Fury Generation as well as stomping and freezing enemies around you. Frenzy, of course, is great because it's great for the two-handed fast attacker, more frenzy barbs, just like back in the D2 days. Threatening Shout is pretty good. It basically, actually no, that's pretty terrible. Actually, I've never used it. I pretty much replaced it after. It's the first ability you get along with Bash, and I replaced it immediately. Basically, it just reduces the damage done by enemies within 25 yards. It's pretty terrible. Hammer of the Ancients, really good ability. It used 20 Fury to do 180% weapon damage straight up and increases the critical chance by 15%. It's actually not too different than Rend in the fact that it does 180% damage. Except for Rend, it takes a little longer to do the damage, and it does. But Rend is more useful because it actually does like an area of effect around the Barb, and Hammer of the Ancients does a smaller area. But Hammer of the Ancients also increases critical chance by 15%. So you take the good with the bad. Of course, these are all Fury spenders. You spend Fury Rage for Battle Rage. Enters a rage which increases damage by 30%. Critical hit chance by 4%. So that's a really good one as well, especially if you're going to fight bosses. Weapon throw is okay. I didn't find it very useful. Good for bosses as well if you do want to go that route. And of course there's Ignore Pain, which is really good if you want to do more of a tanky build. I haven't found too much of use for it, so that's why I didn't kind of showcase it. And then of course Revenge, which I've already talked about, which is really good. It inflicts 150% damage to all enemies within 8 yards and gain 5% life for each enemy hit. Really good for situational, but again, it procs. So yeah, that's all I wanted to show you, and if you have any questions about the Barb, please ask and I will tell. See you guys later. Oh, I forgot. Almost forgot. Before I go, I want to also talk about passives, and they're fairly straightforward. These are the 4 that you get during beta, so those are the only ones I'm going to talk about now. Bloodthirst, just you gain 10% of all damage done as life. This is absolutely overpowered. You use it and you never die. Pound of Flesh, increase the chances of finding health globes by 25%, and you gain 100% additional health from each health globe that you get. Ruthless, critical hit chance increased by 5%, critical hit damage increased by 50%. Many skills and Runeto's effect rely on critical hits to trigger their effects. I haven't found this one to be very useful. Weapons Master. You gain 10% increased damage for swords and daggers, 10% increased critical hit for maces and axes, and 10% attack speed for polearms and spears. And Mighty Weapons, which Mighty Weapons are just Barb specific weapons. You'll gain a Fury point per hit. So yeah, those are the passives that you get so far. I haven't really taken a look at the other ones because I haven't played with them, and I really kind of want to save those for the game anyway, so I'm kind of not going to do those for now. So, yep, I'll see you guys later.